Amritam Dehi Hanumane Sharanam Hanumane. 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 Buddhim Dehi Hanumane Jnanam 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 Hanumane. Satyam Jai Jai Hanumane. Mrityum Jai Jai Hanumane. Satyam Jai Jai Hanumane. Mrityum Jai Jai Hanumane. Rakshasa Vardhana Vanara Rakshaka Anjana Nandana Hanumane. Rakshasa Vardhana Vanara Rakshaka Anjana Nandana Hanumane. Anjana Nandana Hanumane. Anjana Nandana Hanumane. Amritam Dehi Hanumane Sharanam 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 Hanumane. Hari Om Shri Guru Namaha. So we are learning Sundarakandam, and we've seen about the different kandams so far: Balakandam, Ayodhya Kandam, Aranya Kandam, Kishkinda Kandam. All of these have taken place over different points of time. What is fascinating is Sundarakandam actually just takes place over the course of about 24 hours. It's Hanuman leaving from Rameshwaram. From there, the events that unfold that night, and the next day when he is caught, taken to Ravana's palace, him doing all of the stuff that he's doing in Lanka, finding Sita, coming back and getting the news out. So it's a very small incident in the course of the whole Ramayana. But as we saw last week when Shankar was explaining, the importance given to this, even though it is just one day in the course of so many years, it's the turning point for the whole of Ramayana in that sense. Right? Now they say that the Lord, whenever the Lord is worshipped, they say Shriyapatiyana Bhagavan. So the Lord should always be worshipped with Mother Goddess, with the consort, right, with Tayar. Now Surpanaka tried to just seek Rama without, Surpanaka tried to seek only Rama without Sita, right? And we saw what plight she encountered. She got her nose and ears chopped. Ravana, on the other hand, tried to only seek Sita without Rama, and his plight was even worse. But Hanuman, on the other hand, is the one character who unites Rama and Sita, which is one of the many reasons why Hanuman as a character is so loved, is so respected, and is a role model for many. And it just reiterates the importance that, when we kind of think about the Lord and we pray to the Lord, we think of both the Lord and the consort together, and that's one of the things we see here. In the last chapter, as Hanuman is preparing to fly, we saw him transforming from a minister of Sugriva, another Vanara that he was always considering himself to be, to suddenly now realizing his true powers when he is reminded by Jambavan about what he is capable of, the purpose for which he was born, what he had achieved as a child, and remembering that, he takes this complete huge form, he motivates himself, he assures all the Vanaras that now no need to fear, because now we have understood I will go and nothing is impossible for me. And that's one of the also shlokas we say, Asadhya Sadhaka Swami. When we pray to Hanuman, even the impossible becomes possible. And Hanuman sets off. We also saw how he encountered 3 types of obstacles on the journey. One obstacle emerging out of love and affection through Mainaka mountain. One obstacle trying to test his intelligence. And one just negative energy, if you want to call it that way, in the form of Simika. And again, for any individual, whether on the spiritual journey or even normally when we are trying to achieve a goal, we will find all these 3 types of obstacles, or some of these 3 types of obstacles. And Hanuman's response to these is a role model for us on how to deal with each of these. When it comes through love, you don't alienate people by suddenly saying, go away, don't tell me, I know what to do. It's very tempting, it's very easy, sometimes we might do that. But Hanuman has that, what we say, EQ, the emotional quotient, to understand that yes, it is there, but that does not mean I'm going to get distracted from my task and go that hand. And he says, in fact, in Tulsi Ramayana, Hanuman says, Ram kaju ki ne binu mohi kaha vishram. He says, without doing Ram's work, where is the question of rest for me? My whole goal is only to do Rama's work. So he tells Mainaka, there is no scope for rest for me. So I appreciate you giving me, but at this stage, I'm not, having nice shrubs and fruits is not my goal. I have to go there. When it comes to Surasa, he saw how he was able to deal with her, not just by kind words. He tried that, but when he realized, she was the kind of person who's, you can't just talk your way out. He had to then show his intelligence, but also he then immediately shrunk. He said, I have no ego, so I can become big, but I can also become small when needed. So Sukshma Rupa Dhari Siyahi Dikawa, but I can do Vikata Rupa Dhari if I need to. And then he comes out. And when it comes to Simhika, just by saying the Lord's name, he was able to come out. When Hanuman was leaving, we saw while he was giving all this enthusiasm and all this pep talk to himself, he said, I can go and conquer I can go around the Meru mountain, I will go to Lanka. If I don't find Sita, I will go to the heavens, otherwise I will catch Ravana and bring him. He also made sure that all of this was matched with humility. So that's why he starts by saying Sasuryaya Samahendraya. So he starts by praying. He's that subtle line he maintains between having confidence, having belief in oneself, but also having humility. Because sometimes that humility can become low self-esteem and confidence can become arrogance. So to balance the two is a subtle thing, which is you have confidence in the means needed to achieve what you need to do, but also you have the humility to know that maybe there are new techniques needed, and Hanuman strikes that very fine balance. Right? And towards the end, when he destroys Simhika and he proceeds towards Lanka, there's a very beautiful verse. So all the Devas, they shower their blessings and they tell Hanuman, Yasya tvetani chatvari vanarendra yatha tava. Now they say 4 qualities that are needed. He says, Dhritir, Drishtir, Matir, Dakshyam. So Dhriti, Drishti, Mati and Dakshyam. So say, Sa Karmasuna Sidati. He says, one who has these 4 qualities, he says, O Lord of Vanaras, Yasya Tvetani Chatvari, Vanarendra. So you are like the Indra of the Vanara, you are the Lord of the Vanaras. He who has Yathatava, like you, these 4 qualities. What are these 4 qualities? Dhriti. Dhriti means courage, persistence. So any task I need to have, it is not just enough that, I wish I could do that. It will be nice if I could. No, but you need to first take the courage, face the obstacles. Then they say Dhriti and then Drishtir. So very keen eye for detail, knowing, and this is not just physical eye, but also being able to spot the subtleties. What should I do? How should I do? What is this person actually trying to say? Being able to read beyond in the body language. Like he says, Mainaka was not a mountain, he just didn't hit and go. He realized, okay, this is coming out of love, how to then respond. The third thing, Mati, which is smartness, right? So not everything has to be achieved through pure brute force. So Hanuman shows us that you need courage, you need that drishti, so keen eye, so to be able to spot and adapt your style as needed, smartness, and fourth is dakshyam. So, Yasya Tvetani Chatvari, Vanarendra Yathatava, Dhritir, Drishtir, Matir, Dakshyam. Sa Karmasuna Sidati. So, he who has these 4 will never fail in his undertakings. Now, when we as human beings, and we say this to children also, we are either by virtue of our evolution through the apes, etc., we have a tendency to copy. Right? And we see that today in social media, you have influencers and whatever they are doing, everybody wants to copy. Now the same thing can be used in a positive way, which is why having role models like Hanuman in this case, when you listen to the stories and over a period of time when you start to idolize, and then through these characters, they say the qualities of these famous personalities or such great beings, you start to assimilate, because ultimately it is nothing but thoughts. So the more we think, the more we are reflecting and saying how Hanuman addressed that, how he does that. Slowly, in a way, we are almost imbibing and we are connecting to that same energy source, and we start to gain those qualities. So one of the reasons why these are told in story forms is for those who may not be able to sit and meditate on these things. The story is the entertaining aspect, but the transformation is still happening in the same way. So 4 qualities. So that's where we left last class. Hanuman has reached the shores of Lanka. He's still in his Vanara form, but he has assumed the size of a little kitten. He does not want to create any attention for himself. He's waiting for the sun to set, right? Now, as he's sitting there and he's now seeing the walls, the fortress, the borders of Lanka, he looks and he says the way it is guarded, it's because it's on the ocean, so it's not very easy for any enemy to come and bring elephants and battle and do that. So it's a river, so not everybody can cross. And as the sun is setting, they say the walls of Lanka, the borders are all made of gold. And when the sun is setting, the sun's reflection on the golden walls gives it a very different glow. And Hanuman, as he's seeing it, he's both overawed with the whole grandeur, but also suddenly a lot of fear and anxiety takes over. And he's sitting here saying, everywhere these Rakshasas are there, and they're not in the ones and twos or the tens or hundreds, they're in the tens of thousands. They are shouting, shrieking, saying, "Hail Ravana," walking around everywhere. No single place left. It's a very closely guarded fortress. Everywhere I can see there does not seem to be any way to kind of cross. And then he says, how exactly will we accomplish this task of getting Sita back or killing Ravana? Because just in my mind, as I think about, there are only 3 or 4 Vanaras that I know who can even come here. I can do that. I've done it. Sugriva is capable. Angada can reach it. And Nala. These 4 I know in our group of Vanaras have even the capability and the strength to get here in our whole Sena. Okay, so Kim Karishyati Raghava, how will Raghava come here? And even suppose we somehow manage to come here, how exactly are we going to penetrate and wage an attack on this army which seems extremely well prepared? They seem to have all the armory, they are ready for a war, and this Ravana is not a king who's I come in peace. Ravana is known to go to different battles, he is known to attack and take different kingdoms, so he's always ready for a war. And then as he's thinking, suddenly he is also reminding himself, wait, he says, hang on. He says, Hanuman, what is my task here? Why have I come here? I have not come here to wage a war or to plan my strategy or to have any attack. I have come here with a single task. Come here, find Sita, make sure she is safe, take that message back to Rama. So as it sometimes also happens to us, we go on a spiral. We start thinking of one thing, then like, oh my God, how will this happen? Or will the visa come? Will we get that happen? What if that doesn't happen? And before we realize we have gone 8 steps, because imagination is a powerful tool, but that same imagination can also work against us. And Hanuman here is he's almost thinking aloud to say, Hanuman, hang on, hold. No need to think all that. We will cross that bridge when it comes. Right now, our focus is, my job is to find Sita and to convey message back to hopefully give her the ring, let her know that Rama is on his way, and convey that message back to Rama. How everything else, we will deal with it at that point of time. So he waits for the sun to set. In a few minutes, hours later, the sun sets. It is dark, and now Hanuman said, I don't have much time. Now I should find a way to enter. So as a kitten in that small shape is trying to find an entry somewhere, and before him suddenly there is a lady who is a person of the they say this is the Lanka itself in the form of a demoness, the guardian of Lanka. It's called Lankini. She is tapping a trishul and knock, and Hanuman is like little small, so the trishul suddenly goes, he's startled, and he looks at her hideous looking creature, huge, and Valmiki gives vivid descriptions of how she looks, one eye and all those things, and she says, hey, who are you and what are you doing here? Don't you know trespassers are not allowed here? What are you doing here? And Hanuman says, first of all, he says, why are you startling me? Look at my size, look at your size, right? We are not even equals. So don't scare me. I'd heard a lot about Lanka, and there are lots of tourism ads. I thought I will come in and see a little bit about your beautiful city. I'm anyway a wanderer, so I like to go to different forests and trees, etc. I heard you've got good plantations and vanams here. I've just come here on a tourist visa. Right? So I didn't think I needed to make any application. I just have to come here. I need to spend some time. I don't have no intention of staying here. I don't want citizenship of your country. I don't want anything. I'm just going to be here for some time. I will not seek asylum also. So please let me in. He says this is not allowed. Nothing doing. Nobody can enter Lanka. It is very closely guarded. And I'm surprised that you managed to even reach here, because you are now, if you keep speaking with me, you're soon going to be dead. Whichever way you came, you head back. Hanuman is thinking, is that why I came all the way here, just to be told by you to go back and then be obedient? So he says, no, listen, I will not cause much this thing. I will really need to go. Please, excuse me. He also knows, lady, he doesn't, Hanuman Brahmachari, he doesn't like to argue or fight with. But this Lankini does not have any patience. She gives, takes her palm and gives one patak to Hanuman. Right? And Hanuman for the first time actually gets something. And, they say, some people say when you get one here, then you show the other cheek. Hanuman did not believe in anything. He said, okay, I don't have time to waste. He also gives one back to Lankini. And Lankini suddenly kind of falls down. And she gets up. And almost like she has a brain wave. They say sometimes, when at home also, when some instruments don't work, you give them one patak and they start working, your laptop or sometimes people also. But suddenly it's the same way. Lankini also kind of has a brainwave, and she looks at Hanuman and says, "Oh Vanara, it is you. I now remember that I was told I will be invincible because I had this boon given to me by Brahma. But Brahma had also told that the day a Vanara comes and knocks you off, that is the day your job here is over. Because that day is the beginning of the end of Lanka. Okay? So you can guard Lanka. Lanka is on its high, it's very prosperous. But the day you get knocked off by a Vanara, you have no business here, because from that day, Lanka is on its descent. Ravana is going to do this thing. So I had completely forgotten about it, because all this while nobody had come and I was on a high thinking I cannot be, and nobody can cross me. But today I have learned, and she actually salutes him saying, now I have no business here. So Lankini leaves and Hanuman enters now. Okay. Now he is entering, but of course Lanka is not like one small lane. It is a huge country. It's a country in itself with many different streets and palaces, etc. And the first thing Hanuman, it strikes him is how clean and well organized Lanka is. Right? So it reminds us that Ravana, for all his faults, was an excellent administrator. Right? He had made sure that the streets were neatly organized. They say they were cleanly decorated with pearls and flowers. There was no traffic jam anywhere. No people trying to cross anything. Law and order was clearly maintained. Every house, they said there was this bhavanam, kumbha bhavanam, that bhavanam. Each house was no terraced flats, all properly, completely detached apartments, enough driveways, enough space, very beautiful, and each of them multi-story. He says, as the moon was also rising, the whole Lanka was glowing because of the moonlight falling on the whole of Lanka. Right? He says the city was bathed in the moonlight. That there was all the gems and golds on the streets and in all of these apartments. The pillars were made of ivory. So vivid descriptions given by Valmiki of how Lanka was kept. And Hanuman is passing through that. He is, of course, he's now too small. So he is saying, in some places he's hearing people are chanting the Vedas. There are mantrams going on. Like Ravana himself was very well versed in the Vedas, but lots of places people are chanting the Vedic mantras. Some places, as it is evening time, the party time is starting, so you can hear the sound of the anklets, and there are laughter, and the party and the fun is starting there. And they say that in the middle of all of this, he sees Lanka is like they say it's almost like a Stri Vanam. So it's like a forest of ladies. And many of them are Rakshasis and all belonging in Lanka, but many have come as part of Ravana's various escapades. They had said one of Ravana's biggest faults, for all of his good qualities, one of his big faults was desire for somebody else's wife. So he had gotten loads of women from different parts of the world, and many had maybe initially resisted, but over time had then succumbed to his charm. So Hanuman, as he is walking by, he could see women in different embarrassing poses that even he is feeling ashamed. Some of them, their dresses falling off, some of them are drunk, some are walking with their partner, some are wearing makeup, in a state of complete drunken stupor. And in a lot of places, he's some are kind of laughing, unsure of what, very much like, if you walk outside a nightclub, etc., the kind of view. Valmiki Rishi is telling us how Lanka was in that time, right? And some of them out of having been fully drunk, they are abusing and vilifying each other. One Rakshasa vilifying the other. Hanuman's trying to look at all that and see. All he's trying to look for is, he doesn't even have the photo. He has no way of doing GPS or any identification. He has a mental image of Sita. He's walking through all that to try and find where it is. Finally, inside that magnificent city, he sees what looks like another city, which is effectively the palace of Ravana. And then he says, oh my god, this place is again heavily guarded, hundreds of thousands of different Rakshasas guarding Ravana's palace. Somehow he makes his way through. He is going through different chambers. He thinks maybe Ravana has hidden her and kidnapped her somewhere in here. And he also sees the Pushpaka Vimanam, through which Ravana had carried her. And as he's going through, then he passes through the kitchen. Valmiki gives descriptions of various different types of food, fruits. All of that is kind of given here. And finally he comes to the room where Ravana is sleeping. And he sees, because he had heard of Ravana, he had never seen him, he sees Ravana's body, and he could see the marks of tusks. Indra's Vajra had hit him. They say even Vishnu's Chakra had hit Ravana, and he had the ability to bear that. So he was not an ordinary warrior who was just fighting with low criminals or ordinary kings. He had gone and fought with the Devas, so he had all of those marks and blows and war marks on his chest. He is looking at all that, and Ravana is of course sleeping. They say Hanuman, as his tiny thing, is trying to go close by, but Ravana's either snore, or you can say inhaling or exhaling, is almost like, as he's exhaling, it's like the hiss of a serpent. So Hanuman is going by, and as he's exhaling, Hanuman is almost being pushed behind, partly out of fear, partly maybe out of the exhalation of Hanuman. Please don't use this at home with your partner. It is very dangerous to kind of give this analogy. This is what Valmiki is saying there. So as he is looking, and then there also in Hanuman's inner chambers, there are many different wives. So Ravana has got so many different wives and ladies. They are all sleeping in different places, some in his bed, some around. In all of that, suddenly Hanuman's eyes go to one lady who is sleeping in a separate bed of her own. And she looks extremely dignified. She is also wearing ornaments, looking very beautiful, very nicely dressed. Her face is glowing with radiance. And Hanuman looks at her and he says, "Ah, at last, got it, who I was looking for." And for that, Valmiki has a very beautiful shloka. He says, "Asphotayama sachuchumba pucham nananda chikrida jagau jagama stabhanaroha nipapata bhumau nidarshayan swam prakritim kapinam." So he says a very strange looking shloka. Asphotayama sachuchumba pucham. So Hanuman takes his tail and he kisses it. He says, "Yeah." When you get super excited. So he's completely delirious. He kisses his tail. He nobody to say congratulations, he's achieved, he found Sita. He taps himself, "Hanuman, shabash, you have found Sita. Well done, Hanuman, well done." So then he's singing and dancing a little bit, saying, "Yeah, found her." He's suddenly dancing. Now he's so happy, he does not know what to do. So in that pillar that is there, he climbs up the pillar, climbs down, climbs up, climbs up. He starts singing also. He's so happy, he's delighted. And then, Valmiki closes that and says, "Swam prakritim kapina." He shows exactly true to his monkey nature, Hanuman is acting. That's Valmiki's way of kind of describing it. And then as he's doing it and he's excited and he says, "Okay, now I can go ahead, I can say I've met Sita, I've seen her." And suddenly he says, "Oh no, Hanuman, what are you doing? Sita ma, will she be nicely dressed like this, wearing expensive silks and beautiful ornaments and sleeping in Ravana's chambers? What are you thinking, Hanuman? Where is your mind? Sita must be, if Rama is so much in despair, Sita also must be in a similar state." And he says, and he suddenly kind of corrects himself, saying, "Oh, sorry, I made a mistake." So then he reminds himself, I have to now again go back, and again he's getting despaired. He's saying, how will I find Sita? I've been looking, the night is passing. He does not have a lot of time to roam around. He has to come back. There, Sugriva had given all of them 30 days to find. And then in the middle, as he saw all these women, another thought comes. He says, I'm seeing all these women, but even though they are not properly dressed, I can see that my mind is not moved by such sight. And he reminds himself, he says, that's because, and my senses are under control. And he tells himself, if I have to find Sita, I have no choice but to look among ladies. Because he is not generally, as a Vandara, he is like a brahmachari, he would not, even look at ladies or talk. But he says, right now my job requires me to do that. But he says, my mind is calm. I am not swayed by all these different sides. So I need to go focus on my work. And they say, why Valmiki has taken so many verses to describe all these women and so many descriptions of food is because they say it is partly to show Hanuman's willpower. Right? He has come from, it's almost been a few hours since he has come there, he has travelled so long. The two things that are most difficult to control, two desires, is one is on our mind and on our tongue, whether it is speaking or whether it is eating. Right? We all cookie, absolutely, normally no, but seeing a donut, we all want it. And he says, these two are probably two of the most difficult things to control, but the way to control them is through bhakti. He says, once you are devoted to a certain cause, like in this case, Hanuman is devoted, then everything else, whether it is knowledge, whether it is dispassion, all that comes through. But now Hanuman is sitting and thinking, okay, time is ticking by, I have not found Sita, I have practically searched, I have come to Ravana's own chambers, and then he starts thinking, what if Ravana has maybe already killed Sita by now? What if maybe Sita did not even reach Lanka, in the middle only she fell down from Pushpaka Vimanam and she killed herself? What if these Rakshasas have gone and done something? And suddenly again another spiral starts. He says, if I now go back and tell Sugriva that I have not been able to find Sita, what is going to happen? Sugriva is not going to say, okay, no problem, some other time. He had told everybody will be punished. So all the Vanaras will get either punished or killed. Not able to bear the sight of being able to fulfill his word to Rama. Sugriva may himself commit suicide, he may kill himself. Not having any help from Sugriva and the Vanaras, Rama and Lakshmana may not be able to live longer. They are only surviving because there is some hope here. If Rama and Lakshmana don't return back to Ayodhya in time, Bharata has told that 14 years if you don't come, I'm going to kill myself. When that happens, the mothers in Ayodhya will, and suddenly all this, he starts thinking the whole of Ayodhya will go. He says, so Hanuman, I am going to be responsible for the death of the Vanaras, for Sugriva, for Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, mothers, Ayodhya. And then again he says, okay, listen, Hanuman, why am I not able to find it? I have looked everywhere, I have tried everything. And suddenly he remembers. He says, Hanuman, you made a big mistake. When you left from India, when you were leaving from the Mahendra Parvat, you said you prostrated to Surya, your guru. You prostrated to Indra. You prostrated to Rama. You prostrated to your mother. He says you did not prostrate to Mother Sita. And Sita is not like your iPhone or some other object that you are looking for somewhere. You can only find Sita, Mahalakshmi, with her own permission. So immediately he says, he again prays, and he says, Mother Sita, and he prays to all the devas. I think time is running by, I am really desperate now. Please, Mother. And he prays to her and he says, help me find Mother Sita. I am looking for her so I can give. And as he opens his eyes from there, he sees the Vanam. He sees another forest there. It's called Ashoka Vanam. And that somehow in all of the things he had passed, he had not spotted that. And he says, okay, this is a sign. And he goes jumping through the places, jumping on trees. He finally reaches there. And again, it's not a small, like a garden. It's a pretty big, it's supposed to be Ravana's favorite garden. So it's a pretty massive, you can think of it like Hyde Park or one of these big areas. Pretty massive area that it is spread around. It is dark, lots of trees, birds are sleeping, but you can see different peacocks, all these different birds, and almost the choicest fruits, those trees are all there. Now he finds himself when he sits on a Shimshupa tree, and he's sitting there thinking, now where will I find? Now in the middle, and that place is got with all its flowers, the perfume is intoxicating, and he's looking around, and suddenly he comes across a white marble, almost a temple styled edifice in that place. And he says it almost resembles, it was as white as the Kailasa peak. The steps were of coral and it was a dazzling brilliance. And he says the steps were made of molten gold. He says, this could Sitama be here? And as he is looking there, he sees a lady, right? And he says, yes, that is Sitama. And how does he do that? Because Sitama, the way he is described, Valmiki says she is like the crescent moon on the starting of the brighter fortnight, right? So after when the new moon, as they say, when it is about to start, very, very thin, she's as thin as that. You can see that her eyes are in tears flowing from her eyes. From her looks, it's quite clear that she has been fasting for a while. Okay, but her face is glowing. But Valmiki says, and Hanuman spots that in that glow is almost obscured or shadowed a little bit with the sorrow. Just like when flame is burning, the smoke can cover the flame itself. So in the same way, the dazzle of her face is almost covered by the shadow of her grief. You can see that her dress, she is wearing a yellow dress, and he remembers Rama had said, just drape a yellow cloth around her. And Rama had a number of different ornaments that Rama had spoken that Sita has worn, and some that she had also dropped. If you remember in Kishkinda Kandam, she had dropped some ornaments on the Rishyamukha Parvat. He can see some of those in the trees around. Sita is not wearing those, and but he can see those, and immediately he says, this lady certainly is Sita. And till that time, Valmiki says, when Hanuman was listening to Rama's tale and he was seeing Rama cry, he was thinking, this Rama is really a very soft-hearted person. What is the point of crying? Yes, your wife is lost, but kings have so many wives, these things happen. What Rama is crying for one little, for such a, supposed to be a great person. And for the first time when he saw Sita, suddenly he changes side. This is Rama, such a hard-hearted, cold-hearted person. I'm surprised he's still living after being separated from this lady. How can a person live separated from a lady like this? Hanuman thinks. But now he's saying, how do I can't just go and walk up and say, Amma, this is me, my Aadhaar card, I'm Hanuman. How do I do that, right? So he's saying, I have to wait here and find an opportunity to get before Sita, right? As he's sitting on that Shimshupa Vriksham or that Shimshupa tree, it's slightly before dawn, and he hears a whole tam and Vedam, the Vedic chanting, like a whole big procession is coming. So Hanuman just continues to hide behind and he sees what is happening. And there a big procession is coming, led by Ravana himself. So Ravana woke up whenever in the middle of the night or early before dawn, and the first thing in his mind is Sita, I want Sita. And he dresses, and Ravana never comes alone. He's got his whole gang, many of his queens and other Rakshasis, everybody is coming. And as he's coming, he comes and stands before Sita and he says, Sita, you may think that my getting you here is not righteous or not in line with dharma. Okay? But let me tell you, that is not at all correct. What I have done is exactly as per dharma. It is called Rakshasa Dharma. And in Rakshasa Dharma, it is perfectly valid to go and steal somebody else's wife and make her yours. Okay? So you don't think that what I have done is incorrect. I've got so many wives, but yet since the time I have seen you, I cannot think of anyone else. I think Brahma must have stopped the job of creation the moment he created you. You are so beautiful, right? So you just accept my love. I am Ravana, I never beg to anyone, but in front of you I will beg, and I will tell you, accept my love, and you will be the queen, you will be the head queen of all my queens. They will serve you. Okay? He says, your father Janaka, don't worry about him. I will make sure that every month I will send him some money so that he can also live happily, and he will also not have the problem that how is my daughter feeling. I will take very good care of you. I will also send something to your father. Okay? And he says, I have defeated so many warriors. He says, Rama, don't even bother thinking about Rama, because first of all, Rama is no comparison to me. Where is Rama's gunam? Where is Rama's valor? He's just a tapasvi, right? Where is his intelligence? Where are all his good qualities? They are nothing compared to me. In fact, Rama does not even have a kingdom to call his own, right? He's sitting there on the basis of some promise he had given to his father. So there is nothing, he does not have anything to call his own. I am putting everything here, whether it is valor, whether it is tapas, whether it is prowess. Rama is no comparison to any of that. Okay, so he's sitting there and giving all that thing. He says, Sita, don't sit here and keep agonizing, because look at what condition you have made yourself. And he also reminds her, he says, Sita, remember one thing. Youth is not youth will not last forever. Youth is very short-lived, Sita. And just like flowing water, once it goes away, it won't come back. So right now you have the advantage of youth. Now is the time to make merry. Rama, let alone coming and conquering or anything, Rama will not even know where this place exists. He has no way to even reach here. So, come accept my love. Okay. He's saying all of this, he's blabbering. Sita sitting there trembling. She's not even looking at him. And at that stage, Valmiki says, she's sitting there in the ground with that draped sari. She takes one blade of grass and puts it around, and then she addresses that blade of grass. He says, Trinamantra Trakritva Pratyuvacha Shuchismita. And she does not look at Ravana, but she responds looking at that blade of grass. That's one line Valmiki has said. But the commentators have gone overboard with why she put a blade of grass between her and Ravana, and why she is addressing that blade of grass. So here are a few. She says, Ravana, I am a woman, you are a man, and it is clear that your intentions are not noble. Okay? So between such a person, there should be a screen. This blade of grass is that screen. She says, my father Janaka has taught me that whenever somebody who is well versed in the Vedas comes home, he should be offered a seat. Even though you may not like him, you are well versed in the Veda. I don't have a seat to offer. This blade of grass is that. Then she says, Ravana, you telling me about dharma, Rakshasa dharma. Let me tell you that Rakshasa dharma, you say you don't know the nuances of Rakshasa dharma. But as per Rakshasa dharma, you are supposed to come only on the basis of when the lady who is seeking you, she has accepted you and she is calling for you. Right? Second, you are supposed to come and defeat the person from whom you are taking. You have done neither of those. I neither have any liking towards you, nor did you come and defeat Rama. You in fact tricked them. You don't know dharma. So effectively you are nothing but an animal. You are a cow. Cow eats grass. I'm keeping a blade of grass for you. Then she says, many centuries ago, when a devotee of the Lord Prahlada was being tortured by his father Hiranyakashipu, the Lord appeared out of a pillar. What is to say that as Narasimha came out of a pillar, why would my Raghava Simha not come out of this blade of grass and destroy you? Then she says, you told me, Ravana, that Rama's tapas, his prowess, his qualities, his valor. He says, in comparison to Rama's tapas, qualities, valor, prowess, all of his noble deeds, your tapas, your qualities, your gunas, your valor, your prowess is just comparable to this blade of grass. Then she says, when in the Kakasura incident, she's not saying all this, but this is like the analogy that the commentator said why she placed the blade of grass. He says, once the crow Kakasura, Indra's son, was trying to attack Sita, and Rama had used a blade of grass, and we'll see that later in Sundarakandam, and used that as a Brahmastra against the crow. He said, today I can use this blade of grass as a Brahmastra against you. And then finally she says, you have no idea who I am. I am Mahalakshmi, I am Jagannatha. Compared to the prosperity I have and what I am the one who is giving all the prosperity, you are offering your paltry prosperity to me. That is just comparable to this blade of grass compared to what I have. So there are about 40 such reasons that Sita has, as the commentators have put, why she just uses the blade of grass. And now she's not even looking at Ravana, she's addressing Ravana, she's addressing that blade of grass, saying that's all you are comparable to. You're not even worth my sight. And she's saying, Ravana, give up this sinful thought. I'm telling you even now, right? I am born in a noble household. and you are asking me to behave like a person who does not have any morals. I am already the wife of another. As a king, just as you would not want other people to be casting eyes on your women, as a king it is your dharma to protect and make sure that others are not doing this. Okay? She's saying, you have been, and she asked, is there nobody good and noble in your kingdom to guide you, Ravana? And then she reminds herself saying, actually, that may not be the case, because you have been so obsessed by desire and lust that even if there are good people around you, you are not willing to listen to them. So there is nothing that can be done. She said, and he said, as far as trying to take me away from Rama, you forget that. Because just like the glow of the sun cannot be taken away from the sun, I am a part of Rama. So there is no way I am going to be separated from Ravana, nothing now. And then finally she gives them a warning. She says, even now it is not too late. Even now if you go back and seek refuge at Rama's feet, knowing Rama, he will, it's too hot, you can close the heater. No? He is very compassionate and he will forgive you, and he will still, he will let you live and manage Lanka as needed. But once you incur Rama's wrath, then you will start to hear the twang of his famed bow, and from there on it is all destruction, right? And she finally says, you came like a thief and you lured Rama and Lakshmana away so that you can take me. But by that time Ravana, he's listening to all this and his anger has already gone up, and he says, what the words you have used, Sita, for that you should be killed. But the only reason I'm not able to do that is because of my love for you. He says, my anger is being held back because I'm so much in love with you. Otherwise, you should be punished for your words. I'm finally giving you 2 months notice, Sita. 2 months. If you do not accept, and he said, I can already take you and do it by force, but it's only because of my love I'm not doing that. In 2 months, if you do not accept, I will have my royal cooks chop you into tiny pieces and eat you for breakfast. That's his final decision, right? But Sita is, Sita is not the one who's kind of afraid of death at this stage. And she says, I can actually turn you into ashes just out of the strength of my pativrata, out of my sincerity towards my husband. But she says, the only reason I'm not doing that is because I do not act against the wishes or without checking with my husband. So if Rama has a certain plan for you, I don't want to go against that. Out of that very reason, I am not doing that. You call yourself a hero, but you come in like a thief and disguise. Ravana, so enraged, takes his sword and says, I'm going to almost kill you here. But he stops. Then one of his other wives out there, Danya Malini, she says, Ravana, don't. He says, this lady does not know what she is missing out. The joy of being in your arms. You don't worry. I'm sure all these Rakshasis here will take care, and she will change her mind. You don't worry. So Ravana is like super enraged, but he obviously does not want to kill her also. He's walking away in a huff, but before that he tells all the Rakshasis, and Valmiki gives vivid description. He says one Rakshasi only has one eyes, one only has 1 ear, one has a ear as big as her body, one has her mouth in her stomach only, so no need to digest, directly you can put the food there. So each Rakshasi is of different, there are about a whole group of Rakshasis, right? Scare her, threaten her, make her life miserable, and make sure you torture her so much that in 2 months' time she succumbs and accepts my proposal. Saying so, Ravana leaves. Hanuman is sitting there watching all that, and he can clearly see Sita is now in a state of, she's trembling like a leaf out there, enraged, tears flowing from her eyes, and Hanuman is thinking what should be his next steps, which let's see. Shall we do Hanuman Chalisa? Yes. Do you know Hanuman Chalisa? Yes. Shri Guru Charan Saroj Raj Nij Man Guru Sudhari Karna Raghubar Vimal Jasu Modayak Palchari Buddhihin Tanu Janike Sumiro Pavan Kumar Bal Buddhi Vidya Dehu Mohi Barahu Kalesha Vikar Jai Hanuman Gyan Gun Sagar Jai Kabir ईश लोक उजाड़ राम दूत अतुलित बलधाम अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नाम महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी सुमति निवार सुमति के संग कंचन वरन विराज सुवेश कानन कुंडल कुंचित केश हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराज कांधे मुंज जनेऊ साज शंकर सुमन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया राम लक्ष्मण सीता बसिया सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सिरहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जलावा भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे रामचंद्र के काज समारे आए संजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरत हितम भाई सरस बदन तुम जस गावे कही श्रीपति कंठ लगावे कनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद सारद सहित ईसा रघुवीर दिगपाल जहाँ थे कवि कोविद कही सके कहाँ से तुम उपकार सुग्रीव वही कीन्हा राम मिलाए रघुपति दीन्हा तुम्हारो मंत्र भीषण मान लंकेश्वर भय जग जान युग सहस्र योजन बलवान लील्यो लारि मधुर जान प्रभु मुद्रिका मेरे मुख माहि बल दिलांगे गए अचरज माहि दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते सुगम अनुग्रह तिमरे तेते राम द्वारे तुम रखवारे तुझ आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी शरणा तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना आपन तेज समारो आपै तीनों लोक आपने कांपै भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे महावीर जब नाम सुनावे आसे रोग हरे सब पीरा जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीरा संकट से हनुमान छुड़ावे ध्यान जो लावे सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे सोई अमर जीवन फल पावे चारों युग प्रताप तुम्हारा ये प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा साधु संत के तुम रखवारे असुर निकंदन राम दुआरे अष्ट सिद्धि नव सिद्धि दाता असुर दीन जानकी माता राम रसायन तुम्हारे दासा सदा रघु रघुपति की दासा तुम्हारे भजन राम को भावे धर्म जानते जगत सावे अंत काल रघुवीर पुर जाई जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई और देवता चित्र न धरे हनुमत से सर्व सुख करे संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा सो सुमिरै हनुमत बलबीरा जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई कृपा करो देवी नाई जो शत बार पाठ कर कोई छूटहि बंदी सुख होई जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा कोई सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा कीजे नाथ जय मेरा पवन तनय संकट हरण मंगल मूर्ति रूप राम लक्ष्मण सीता सहित सियापति रामचंद्र की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय उमापति महादेव की जय बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय. Thank you. Hopefully I should be back after Radha Kalyan.